Hello and welcome everyone to a very special 10th episode of Spreading the Nerd. I'm your host Clint Coombs, joined by my co-host Rick Davis. We also have our very first guest on the show, the one and only and dangerously handsome Luke Lohr of XEP podcast. Thank you so much, Luke, for coming here. Like it means a lot to have you here. It's awesome.
I'm ecstatic to be here. You two are great friends and great supporters of my community and my show. And I could not be more happy, honored, and appreciative to be joining you on your 10th episode and your first live episode. That's pretty cool.
No.
Oh, no, not our first live. We're usually live. 8th live.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Live.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I thought it was your first. So it's the 10th episode is the thing. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Ever since I came on, they've all been live.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I usually catch them after. So, okay, cool.
And before we get into anything, I just wanted to say to you, Luke, and Logan, honestly, as well. I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to say it to you like wholeheartedly in Discord or anything, but you've been an inspiration to me, and I've listened to you guys and yourself just by yourself since like early COVID, and definitely gave me the drive to do this and make me want to do it. So thank you very much. It's been awesome.
That means the absolute world. I have found it particularly during and post COVID to show up and be there for people in that time. Gaming does a lot more than just like pressing buttons, like you develop friendships and it gets you through tough times. So
for sure. Yeah. And the community you and Logan have created has been fantastic. Me and Rick mentioned it several times on here, almost every podcast, about how awesome the Discord is and friends we've made. And me and Rick met through there and feels like we've been friends for years. So
yeah, I mean,
really do appreciate you.
It's no secret that I said you guys were there for me a few months ago when I was going through a pretty tough spot, and I didn't have too many people who I wanted to talk to at the time. But I did have some. I'm not saying I didn't have any, but you guys were definitely a solid rock to talk to at times, and it helped me get through some difficulties, to say the least.
It's funny how, like, at least when I was growing up, to be on a computer talking to your digital friends was like, oh, that's lame. And now, like, I've connected in person with so many people as a result of it. I'm uplifted by it. I look forward to like gaming with my best friends digitally. My friends live across the country. Like, that's just it's the norm now. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start with Luke. How's your week been? What you been playing? Anything fancy?
Oh yeah. The week's been great. We got blessed with some Xbox news, which is nice on the content creation side because it's been a quiet lull. And we finally got some news today, which is always nice because I mean, this in making your episodes. Like sometimes when there's not like something to talk about, it's like, all right, now what? And like sometimes it works out great. Other times you have that weird dead air. So it's nice to have stuff to talk about. You guys were a part of it, but we did our community episode on Tuesday for XEP, which was great. It was good to have Logan back because he and I have been kind of rotating. Awesome. Yeah, we've been rotating mental rest time just because it's the right time to do that. And that's been good. Deadpool and Wolverine, I got to watch that. I finished a show that I've been watching, which is great. I finished a couple video games recently, and I've been kind of immersed in more. So it's actually been a very nice and restful week. But I will tell you, after playing soccer every morning, like my body hurts. I'm tired, man. But I treated myself some ice cream earlier.
So, there you go. Well, speaking of ice cream, what's your favorite ice cream? Let's
favorite ice cream. Mint chocolate chip. Mint chocolate chip all day long, like by far. But they don't have that in non-dairy at my local, so I think I had like a cookie dough chocolate chip thing just to have non-dairy. Just not that like dairy's not great for me, but I can do it. But it wasn't a sacrifice the next day for mint chocolate chip ice cream kind of night. So but yeah, mint chocolate chip all day.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Rick? What you been up to this week?
Not too much. As Luke said, I was on the XEP community episode on Tuesday, which was good times. Always are. Got couple things to talk about this week, game wise, and certainly news wise. I got a specific topic I plan to go off on.
I know.
I can't wait. I'm like a chained dog right now, just waiting for the week to get let loose. But other than that, just kind of going through the motions, trying to get through the resurgence of heat that we've had again. So thanks for that, Mother Nature.
Yep, I hear you. I am glad it is Friday. It has been a hot week, and the last few days were rough, absolutely rough. The humidity, as I said in the XEP Discord, I don't know who invented it, but they need to go to jail for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Are either of you asthmatic? Like, is that a thing?
No, thankfully.
I'm just a sissy.
So I'm an asthmatic. I've been an athlete my whole life, but and like phases of like more into it, out of it, right? As I kind of age and whatnot, ebb and flow. But I'm an asthmatic, and have been since I'm 13, and it's the worst it's ever been. This summer, it's been brutal. I've gone through 2 inhalers already this summer.
Oh,
and it's just been bad. It's been difficult. Like it's surprising how bad the air quality is now. It's rough. It's rough.
I remember Jam Pack Sam saying something about it being really bad this year because he lives somewhere in your vicinity, I think.
Yeah, he lives probably a city over to the west. Okay. Yeah, he's not too far from me though. Probably 2.5 hour drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, besides the heat, but taking it out of me, I get home, I'm tired, so I haven't really played too much. I downloaded a demo, a lot of demos this week I played, actually. The Visions of Mana. Played that really good. Kind of reminded me of Grand Blue Fantasy, like action RPG, if you're into that thing. Very colorful, which is nice. I'm not always a fan of dark games, but those tend what I usually play. But so it was nice to see that with a lot of color.
Well, random thought, but just what you thought, just what you said there. Back on the 360 or PS3, did you happen to play Eternal Sonata? Because that's one of the most colorful games I've ever played.
So good. It's so good.
That was the first game. It was on 360 at that time that proved to me what HD can do versus standard definition. Because
it's gorgeous.
It looked night and day in comparison to playing that game on a standard definition television.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Oh, can I tell my HD story real quick?
No, go ahead. Oh yeah, let's tell HD stories. I like this.
So I was in college when HD became kind of a thing, right? And in order to get I think it was like a 20 to 20 inch, maybe 17 to 20 inch flat screen HD TV, they still weren't clean and they still weren't great, but I was able to wall mount it. And I had a Wii and I had a 360, but at the time 360s had that toggle on the back of their their red, green, blue kind of thing.
The component cable. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that component cable. And I plugged it up and I was trying to play Ace Combat. And I'm like, this doesn't look very good. And I was trying to show it off to a friend. It's like, what's wrong with this? And she was like, I don't know. That is weird. And then like we were messing around. We flipped it and we watched like in real time the blink. And then all of a sudden these jets were in HD. And it was like, we were just stunned. It was like kids in those old Genesis commercials. We were like, whoa, it was the coolest thing. And I played Ace Combat 6 so much. It was that in Gears of War that showed off HD to me. It was awesome.
For sure.
Another one, this is also early 360, but this is less on the it made it impressive and more that it made it like showing how much it was necessary. Remember the original Dead Rising, how you couldn't read the text if you didn't play it in HD? The text was almost illegible.
Yep. I had it on just your standard TV when I got the 360. And of course, you would go to the store like Circuit City or wherever, and they would have the kiosk of the 360. And it was usually like Call of Duty. I think it was Call of Duty 2.
That was the launch game.
And I just remember I would just stand there in awe of the HD and all this stuff. And then when Gears came out, the first one, that's when I upgraded to an HD. And of course, I think the only HD I could afford at that time was like a 720p at that time. But I just remember setting it up and I was just blown away by the clarity.
I don't remember if I had an HD TV when Gears came out. I want to say it was after that, but I definitely ended up playing it in HD. I just don't think I did it first.
Yeah, that's the game that was like, okay, I need to get an HD TV, my fancy 720p.
The original Mass Effect was another one. Actually, that game looked great in HD compared to
I
none.
don't think I played that in HD actually. Now that I think about it,
my dad had got a, at the time this was pretty big. Bear that in mind. It's kind of standard now, but he got it was either a 50 or a 55-inch Sony. It was back when at that size they typically would make them in either projection, or he had the what they call them DLP, which was like a big technology at the time. They were garbage because the lights kept busting on them, but it was like a big deal at the time. And he went on vacation for a weekend, and I was like, oh hell yeah. I grabbed my 360 and I didn't leave the living room for the entire weekend. Then I went back to my TV and I'm like, man, this was terrible now.
Those are the best feelings, like when nobody bothers you and you've got that all that time to just do what you want to do, play what you want to play. Nobody's gonna like judge you or wonder what you're doing. And like when you kind of have that, like I remember my buddy Kevin, he got Titanfall. He had a Xbox One at launch. I had a PS4. We had split here in the early part of that generation. So he had Titanfall, which is the one game on Xbox I cared about in that first like opening 2 years. And I watched his house, or I was at his house or stayed there or something. And I got to play Titanfall on his big TV. Nobody was around, surround sound, stand by for Titanfall. And it was incredible. And now all my stuff's better in your face, Kev. But at the time it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, I remember getting the 720p one and it being like thick. It was a thick one. And I just remember ordering it. And of course, I don't know, I didn't have funds back then. And I was like, screw it. I'm going into like credit card debt. For a 720p. It was way over expensive. I was like, yours is gonna look look good, damn it. That's all that mattered. I liked that. I like that little quick segment. That was good.
Yeah, that was a nice random.
I like
random moment there.
That's what we're here for. Luke understands it. He knows how it goes.
I get it. I'm here for you.
Yeah. Back to. Downloaded the demo for Temple Rising or Tempest Rising. So if there's any Command and Conquer fans that listen to this or in the chat, it's basically Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun with a new skin. The same musician works on it for the soundtrack, and there's a couple of the old devs from Westwood Studios that works on it too. So I was like, definitely had fun with that. And of course, Final Fantasy 14, which is taking forever to get through. It's good. It's very good. But there's 23 hours of cutscenes alone in that game. That's not counting game time or anything. So it's just like, there's times where I'm sitting on my computer screen and I was like, yep, this one's going on for about 25 minutes. A good story, but I kind of want to play the game.
Are you?
How much more is that?
I am sometimes. If it's a side quest, I'll skip it or I'll go through the audio quickly. Or depending, if I'm really enjoying the game, I will. I don't know. It's not always, but sometimes I will. I'm definitely guilty of it. And then 3/4 into the game, I'm like, who is this guy? Why do I care about him? But
and that particular one, if you skip it, you got thousands of hours to get back to where you are going to do it again.
There's so you have to pay attention in Final Fantasy 14, which thankfully the story is fantastic. It's a 10-year long story now, so it's great, but it's a lot to take in.
Is that a lot more than the other expansions have in terms of?
I think the last expansion, Endwalker, had more. I think that one had like 26 or 25. And just like I said, just cutscene. That's not game time. So game time is just whatever. But anyways, before so Luke had mentioned that we did the community episode over on XEP that he does, which is fantastic. Him and Logan usually do. There's been kind of not a war going on, but a disagreement of how good Little Caesar's pizza is. And it's been kind of going back and forth. Now you say it's trash, but I don't know if you can.
We have some agents out in the field, Luke.
We've got some leaked footage
might contradict that statement. By
I had to dig deep for this one, but you did an interview a while ago, and it looks like you were
Oh, see, this is
You're
ridiculous.
interviewing Little Caesar himself.
First of all, there's no way that's me. There's no way that's me. No, special effects. That's crazy talk. That's crazy.
All right.
Talk.
So, okay. I mean, maybe someone else could be, but I mean, surely.
Yeah, it wasn't like you went to a
you in the
convention
glasses.
with one or anything. Right?
And it even states that you were in Little Caesars.
Here's the thing about special effects. You can really do anything these days, and it's clearly some deep fake action that's working there. I feel like
do you not have a Halo Infinite jacket like that? Yes or no?
I do own one. Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Let me put exhibit.
It's not looking good for you right
up
now.
again.
I'm just gonna say.
I'm
actually so proud of
boy
that
hair.
I was so proud of that picture. I was like, yeah, look how good I look. I was
proud of it too, because as soon as I saw it, and I was like, the memes are gonna come.
I truly despise Little Caesars, and it's because back when I wanted to have an HD TV and I was selling plasma for consoles, that's all I could afford, right?
And I can understand the hate now.
Yeah. And the only convenient pizza that I have that's like fast food pizza is Pizza Hut. I can get Domino's, but it takes a little bit. And like good pizza is a good 30 minutes out to pick up, 30 minutes back to the house. And so like I settle for not Domino's. I settle for Pizza Hut quite often and like Pizza Hut, but like the real pizza, it's not even a place that like is a franchise, like franchise pizza is franchise pizza. But I do think Little Caesars is awful. It's trash food for trash people is what I say. And I do judge everybody, particularly the nerd chat out there. I don't know if any of them are watching or watch on VOD, but you need to know that it's bad pizza. So
yeah, but I'm sure you would never hang out with the Little Caesars guy or anything, right?
Now this
like where this
just
is going.
Came in. This just came in.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Interesting.
Oh my!
Oh, come on!
Very interesting.
This is ridiculous. This is crazy.
Now you were actually at an event, and you invited the mascot along with you because we heard that Little Caesar guy is actually a huge Xbox fan. So
yeah.
It's so weird to run into the Little Caesars guy at the behind closed door Capcom booth. Who would have thought? But that guy's got access. It's got access. So
yep. That was crazy.
Sarah Bond's hair in the picture is like slightly outside of it. Like you can.
Yeah. My Photoshop skills only go so far.
There's an alternate timeline where Sarah Bond is watching this and she's like, they edited me out of a picture, and then like Bo offended about it.
That was me. She runs to the mirror. Do I look like the Little Caesars person?
This is crazy talk. Crazy.
I guess we're gonna have to check our sources and see where they're getting these candid photos.
To be fair, I also think Little Caesars isn't the best pizza, but I know what I'm getting for that price, so I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, it is a $5 pizza. You can't be.
Yeah. It's like if I go to Applebee's, I know what I'm getting for. I know I'm not getting 5-star cuisine. I know what I'm getting. I'm gonna be happy with it. So now the double down.
Oh God, I need a favor from you two gentlemen. If ever you have Logan on the show, I better see some Red Dead Logan memes for sure. Because when he adopted, see, here's the thing about the cowboy hat. It looks good, but I don't like change. I was not prepared. I wasn't emotionally. He should have submitted to me in writing, Luke, just so you know, I bought a cowboy hat. And I'd have been okay. But I wasn't ready. So when Red Dead Logan shows up on this show, the memes better also be there.
I like the Red Dead Logan. That's good.
I like that actually.
Good.
I like that.
It's funny when during the XEP episode, Logan had the cowboy hat on. He even was rocking the guitar. It was fantastic. I loved every second of it. And I have a harmonica upstairs, and I almost went and grabbed it and just was like,
I was losing my mind.
How do you respond to this?
At least Little Caesars has sauce, unlike that garbage they had at Summer Game Fest. So, all right, that's Keith Mitchell right there. Incredible dude. Got to meet him in person. Came into our community a few weeks ago. Came on the show a few weeks ago for XEP. I love Keith Mitchell, especially since I've kind of discovered Outer Haven. But I will tell you, like, he and I had very different pizza experiences because I thought the Summer Game Fest pizza was delicious. I had a great experience, and it's like one of those things, like, even the worst pizza is still pretty good. Yes, but when you need pizza to hit and it misses, it hurts. It hurts bad. And so
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. That is absolutely true.
So I think either it got me when I needed it, or it let him down at a time of need, because it'll get you. But yeah, shout out to him. And can I tell you how when Logan was playing the guitar, I was losing my ish. I was like, bro,
I could
pay
tell.
attention to these people. They come here to hang out with us. Like, come on. And he's like,
I could tell, but it was great. And it was even better when he was like sitting back and the hat was down. And
there was
like,
the part
this mysterious
I
Logan?
actually
I want
thought
to learn
he was
more.
Sleeping at one point. I'm like, what's going on over there? Because he was like,
that's what I thought too. But then that's the thing, Rick. Like, you and I are like, wait, what's this? The other half's like, this is great. I love this side of Logan. I just don't like change. So I was like, what is it? What's going on? What's going on? And he said a great comment earlier in chat. What did he say? Paying attention is my final boss, or something like that.
Yeah, it's your Dark Souls, is what he said. Yeah,
he's 100% right.
He's
so right. And like, the longer anything goes on, if it's in the evening, because most podcasts are in the evening, I struggle mightily, right? Like, I'm a morning person. The focus, same. All that stuff. Like, I got it. But like, even like when anybody that doesn't know, I'm a teacher. When I teach like the morning classes, I'm on it. But if I have a schedule where I have like a break midday and then I have classes in the afternoon, I'm clearly not the same caliber teacher. And I will tell you what, when I go from teaching in the morning to coaching in the afternoon and then at the podcast at night, forget it. Like, I'm just struggling at the I got like 20 minutes. Come on, focus. It's tough. I struggle to stay focused in at the end of the day.
I can relate to that. I don't even take a lunch at work for that exact reason. If I take a lunch break, I'm a mess afterwards.
Yeah, especially if it's a late lunch, I'm done. Like, I'd rather just skip it, because I'll just food coma and fall asleep, especially in this heat. But so that was a good segment. I had to get some laughs out there. Thanks for being a good sport there, Luke, and defending yourself. So
shout out to Logan, who I love greatly.
Yes, Logan is the man. I did mention him at the beginning here, how both you and Logan have definitely been an inspiration for me and your community. You guys are great. So once again, thank you both so much for everything you've done for all of us. The entertainment, the laughs, the community, good stuff. Absolutely. So let's see. How about our first topic? World maps. So what do you think is your least favorite and best, like, as you're like playing an open world or side scroll, you're just push and start and the map comes up and you've got, menus and such. What's your favorite and least favorite map? Does anybody want to go first? Rick, do you have something
I'll
lined
go first, because I actually have two I want to call out.
Okay.
So first one I'll give is for both areas you mentioned. The other one, it's more going to be about just how it looks, but I actually want to specifically give Elden Ring credit there, because Elden Ring's map is awesome. It looks amazing.
That's a good one.
And being is that it doesn't use like your typical like Ubisoft towers and stuff like that. Like, you actually do use the map and study it to find the areas you're looking for, like to find like discoverable areas, which I think there was clearly effort put into that map being used like as though you were just unrolling a map in a new area to see where you were going. And there's a big difference between wandering through an area before you have the map and after, because you are pretty much blind without that map. The other one I wanted to give, but it's more to do with the simple look of it than anything else, is our old standby Kingdom Come Deliverance, because that map is absolutely superb.
I didn't even think of that, and that's a good one, because that was like old style, not like old style from like early Nintendo
Pentiment
days. But
it's like the term Pentiment, like that's what that is. It's styled to be like an old hand-drawn map, and the way that it's like hand-drawn clouds to cover as the fog of war, and they disappear, and then whenever you move across it, it gives you a little like a physical guy that moves across the thing. It's really
every
really
time
well
I opened up, I always thought of Monty Python and its little like cut scenes between shows or like
Yeah,
content
yeah,
that they had on there.
yeah.
I loved it. That's a good one. I like it. What about you got a least favorite on there?
Come back to me on that because I didn't know I had to think about least favorite.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'll think of one.
Do you have
Oh.
a favorite, Luke, or?
So I want to also call out Elden Ring's map, because Elden Ring's
Mm.
map gives you so much information, but like the best of FromSoft, it doesn't like you will not get any of that information unless you're willing to learn its language. And the golden path that it provides you and a lot of the stuff that that map shows you is there, but you won't know that it's there if you're being obtuse or wanting to be handheld, which, to be very clear, is something I love. I like to be told. I like to be told where to go, what to do.
Right.
And it took me kind of retooling my brain to understand and work with the way Elden Ring kind of operated on its map. I have two for least favorite as well, but I also want to call out, and it's a I don't know that it's a map in the traditional sense of the way you're talking about a map, but TMNT Shredder's Revenge does a really cool thing that is kind of an homage to the old original Nintendo Entertainment System map that the Turtles went on in order to kind of move around, but also Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World. And I know that's not quite the map that you're talking about, but given that it just overlays a world, has a lot of personality on display, and just you kind of move around to pick your zone that you're going to work and operate in. I really liked that. And so I know that's not like the map that guides you around whilst you're playing. I really dig the TMNT Shredder's Revenge kind of overworld map. I think that's really neat. And then I have two for least favorite, one of which Ellery has correctly and appropriately pointed out in chat.
Yeah, Immortals of Atrium is absolutely terrible map. That's absolutely
it really
true.
is.
And actually, I did think of a least favorite. I don't know if you wanted me to do it or you want to come back to me after we all do favorites.
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
So my favorite is probably, it's not super well known. Good call outs for Elden Ring and such. That is really good. And the Kingdom Come one is, it's kind of a tie. I'm gonna go with Ni no Kuni, which is a JRPG from Studio Ghibli in level 5. So when you open it up, it's your standard like overlay of an open world, but they have like it's just very Studio Ghibli art style with the trees and everything, and you can see like weather effects and everything. And the menu was super easy to just move everything around, very smooth. So that one came to my mind immediately. But like you both were saying, with the wind and the gold and stuff showing a waypoint and stuff, Ghosts of Tsushima came to my mind for open world maps too. I loved that map.
Well,
the way
I particularly like how it tries to make you not use the map. Actually, that's one of the best parts about it.
Yep.
Actually.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So that's my favorite.
The Arkham games do a good job with a good open world as well. And I'm not like, I think of Ghost of Tsushima being related to Arkham just in gameplay style. And a good map in those types of games, I think, is very useful, particularly given the collectibles and stuff they hide around maps.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know the Ubisoft hate train, which isn't around here because I like Ubisoft. I don't care. Nail me to the wall. But their maps, they're nothing fantastic, but they're great for what they are. Like, everything, once you discover something, it shows you where it is. It's good for hunting, all the stuff that Ubisoft puts in. So I don't hate them.
Nope.
So Rick, what is your least favorite, or a couple least favorites? That's fine.
Okay. Well, the one that really popped to my mind, and this is actually for multiple reasons, is Control. Fantastic game. Terrible map that also doesn't even work half the time, which is certainly one of those reasons. You try to bring it up and it doesn't load, or it loads real fuzzy, which later on I noticed Alan Wake was doing that. Alan Wake 2 was doing that a little bit too. Not nearly as much as Control did, where Control, you had a 50% chance of the map just simply not working when you tried to load it up. But Alan Wake
early on, I think they cleaned it up. They cleaned it up towards the.
They claim they did. I thought it was still pretty bad. The the director's cut or whatever was a little better, but the version on Xbox One X or whatever, it still was pretty crap by the time it was all done. And then, but even on top of that, it really was not a very easily readable map, just because the game was so like layered, and it didn't do a particularly good job of detailing that information. So since you, at many times in that game, were specifically looking for certain areas because you got, your levitate ability or whatever, it could be an absolute pain in the ass to try and figure out where you were going because it was so confusing at times.
Yeah, for sure. I don't remember it being slow to load or anything like that, but I played on PC. I don't know if you did, but
I don't believe PC had that issue. I think it was just on console.
Okay, PC master race. Anyways, but it was confusing. And then I'll go to my least favorite since I'm talking. But Ellery had said, yes, this is Bruce, everybody. This is my microphone shark here, Bruce. So Ellery had mentioned it, and I had completely forgotten about it or pushed it out of my mind. Now, not to say Immortals of Avium is a bad game. I quite enjoyed the game. That map was hideous. Absolutely hideous. But probably the worst map for me, or the one that I struggled with the most, was Jedi Survivor's 3D map. I hated that map, and trying to find routes to go back and trying to follow a guide, and they would open up a map on YouTube and it's like, go here. And I was like, I don't know how to. Like, I can't read this map. And maybe it was just me not being able to read that 3D map, but I hated that.
No, it was a bad one. And the insistence on making it, like, I like the idea of doing it as an in-lore map,
right.
But it didn't work well at all.
No. Thankfully, in the second one, it did clean it up a bit, but it still could use some tweak. It was definitely cleaned up a lot, though. So, what about you, Luke? What's your least favorite?
There are a lot of bad maps and a lot of good games, and I think Immortals of Avium is an appropriate call out. I think also similar to Control and Immortals of Avium, Jedi Fallen Order suffers that same issue, that same element of like trying to do this unique map in a 3D space, make it look like a hologram, and it makes it too difficult to track back to get to places. And it's not so much world design, it's that the map doesn't help you get to where you need to go. And that's a problem. And so Jedi Fallen Order for me was really frustrating. And again, I think Control and Immortals of Avium are the same problem, right? I just don't like that style of map, that 3D kind of 3D space hologram thing. Just give me a point click, tell me where to go, give me a good overlay. And if you've got tiers, do a tier system.
Yeah, I think that's what confused me the most was the tier system. It just didn't work or cross over correctly for Jedi Survivor for me at all. I was not a fan.
I'll give a call out to two games that actually took. Well, one game the map didn't matter. The other one it did, and it was bad. But they fixed them in their remakes, and that is Dead Space had a terrible map originally, and actually it wasn't good in the remake, but it was far more usable.
Yes,
and Resident Evil 4, the map was effectively useless in the original game, but it has much more use and was a good map in the remake as well.
Yeah, what Baden said in chat, at least half my hours on Jedi Fallen Order are just me being lost, and this was me. Probably 5 hours of my playtime is just me looking around at the sky, wondering where I am. Did you say you had another one, Rick? Another?
No, those two were Dead Space and RE4 were the two I was adding on.
And a quick shout out, Diablo 4, get an overlay map or like a tab map so I can see where I'm running through a dungeon and stuff like the other 3 Diablos you've had. I don't like it. Put it back. I don't think anybody doesn't not want that. I don't think. Maybe. But I'm not one of them. Bring it back. Anyways, and on to our next segment, I think. And I'm going to let Rick take this one because he's chomping at the bit to talk about this. And
are we unleashing the dog here?
We're unleashing the beast, and I know a little bit about it, and I looked into it a little bit, but I know you definitely know more about it than I do, and especially where we both know it kind of pertains to Last of Us and Naughty Dog a little bit, but I'm sure you can enlighten us a little bit more on that. So you have the stage, sir.
All right, so we are of course referring to Bungie's latest round of layoffs, which was, if I remember correctly, 220 people.
Yeah, I think it was 17% of their.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I believe that that as well as transitioning some number of employees to different parts of Sony takes the number from about 1,300 down to, I think I saw 800, something like that. So let's just get this out of the way. Pretty clearly, Pete Parsons is a shit CEO and really needs to be held accountable for absolute and abject failure at his studio, right? So now, to be perfectly clear, I do not care one iota about Destiny. Not at all. But I see a team that clearly put out a product that the fan base was overwhelmingly positive about. What's it called? The Final Shape was almost universally considered, and there's Nate right there. I see he's talking about, because Nate is a big Destiny guy. The Final Shape is almost universally considered to be perhaps the single best piece of Destiny content. And somehow, despite putting that out, they can't make the numbers because their CEO doesn't know what the hell he's doing, basically. And from everything I have seen since, a lot of this comes down to basically vastly overselling the company to Sony, which Sony's got their share coming too. Don't worry. I got some words for good old Jim Ryan about this one. But first of all, why was this studio as big as it was in the first place? That's absolutely ludicrous. Like, even at 1,300, that is ridiculous. There's no need for a development studio to be that big. Then, and also actually something I want to get out of the way right now. Something that keeps circulating is about Pete Parsons buying these $2 million worth of cars. That is neither here nor there, and frankly, it is of zero relevance to this conversation, because that $2 million would make no. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. I will agree with that.
I would like to comment on that.
That's fine. Let me finish.
Okay.
That $2 million, though,
getting good, folks. It's getting good.
Would go nowhere in terms of helping the condition of this studio. Because
I also want to chime in on this too after Luke, of course.
Because this studio was in complete and utter financial goddamn collapse, and we found that out. I don't know what, March, whenever they had their other round of layoffs, and clearly nothing has improved. And Sony never, ever, 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 ever should have bought this studio. That is so blatantly clear that every single thing that Sony bought them for, they have proven to be incapable of doing. Not putting out a good product, as clearly they were capable of doing that. And that obviously is the creative side of it. It's in terms of the financial and leadership side, they clearly were a complete clusterfuck of a studio. And I mean, I think it's pretty obvious Pete Parsons needs to step down because he doesn't know what he's doing. So,
all right, let's let Luke chime in here with his.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was making sure you guys didn't hear my keyboard as I clicked around some things regarding this. So I wanted to comment. One, I fully agree with you. Pete Parsons has no business running a studio, and I think when we as content creators or observers from the internet look at stuff like this and we go after comments like the cars, because I was very vocal on social and stand by, like, he has no business flaunting that. Whilst
I agree. I do agree with that. I'm not disputing that at all.
And I think that's the thing that gets lost in the sauce is when people comment on this, because my comment was like, this guy doesn't need to be in charge. If you are talking to your employees that you're planning to lay off about your 2 new cars and whatnot, and the next, and 2 days later you're firing them, then you need to go. You're a bad human being. That's not to say that CEOs or longtime employees, because they've been with the company for a long time, don't deserve wealth or their accumulation. That's kind of the part of capitalism that is a necessary element to getting good games oftentimes. It's also proven many times that it's not there. But my point is, I don't besmudge. I don't get upset with people for having more money, for making more money. I get upset when they're making money hand over fist and the work they're doing is not benefiting the company or the people that work under them. Because how many people are laid off because of the shit job he did is doing, and then he's flaunting it. Why are you getting that wealth? It's like the big payout parachutes that so many executives get. Like, why do they get that? Why do you get that? You can get a severance like any good normal person to figure out what to do next, but millions upon millions of dollars. And for the lack of judgment that Pearson showed on a human level to flaunt to his employee that he planned to lay off 2 days later, And then the subsequent comments we've seen come out from, I think Liana Rupert is the one that's kind of most well known, at least in the social spaces that we travel.
She's always pretty vocal about that stuff, so that's not too much of a surprise. But yeah,
not at all. But I think the more that comes out, it's like if you're doing your best and you're really trying, and the studio just doesn't work, doesn't land, the game doesn't hit, and you got to close down. Okay, that's part of it. That happens, right? Like,
sure.
so that happened with the Mortals of Avium, right?
That's what I was going to say. Ascended Studios, yep.
And Abu Bakar Salim with Tales of Kanzera's studio, like Surgeon Studio. It sucks when that happens, but I felt like despite the wealth, like both of those CEOs, people in charge, they're fine, right? They're not struggling to eat dinner. They're okay. But I've never once seen them flaunt their wealth or brag to their employees, or these stories come out about how they're mistreating people. They tried to make something, it didn't work, it didn't sell, whatever. That happens. And I think the part with Bungie is like they've had crappy leadership for a long time, and they're trading on a name that lived with Halo, died with the first Destiny, reborn with Destiny 2, and really did a good job for a bit, but consistently celebrated their independent nature, and then got gobbled up by the biggest at the time. They were part of Xbox, they were part of Activision, they were part of Sony. It's like, you're not fighting the man. Clearly you are the man, and you're the problem.
And it's becoming increasingly obvious that for however long it was, they only stayed afloat because they had that deal with Activision. Because the second that deal was broke, what happens? All of a sudden, layoffs, because they can't keep it going. And I am not sticking up for Activision here. I'm saying clearly somebody cannot manage the way that the money is being spent in this company.
Well, as an Xbox content creator, I'm contractually obligated to tell you that Activision is great. They're the best. They've never been better. And just look at all the stuff they've got coming out this fall, like Activision. Check.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that out.
All right. All right. We're now affiliated with Xbox now, which is fine. But also, just to chime in on Parsons, you guys definitely hit all the nails on the head. But when I saw the text about the two cars thing, where he's like, "Oh," or the employee said, "You just invited me like 2 days ago to come see your cars," everybody was like, "Oh man, that guy's such a dick," and this and that. And the first thing that came to my head was like, that sounds kind of creepy. Like, who goes to their employee and be like, "Hey, do you want to come see the 2 new cars I have at my house?" You know, I don't know. It seems kind of creepy. That's what I got from it.
He wasn't asking to see Logan's van.
Oh,
Logan's
do you want me to pull up the van?
I don't understand why I ended up with the van. You all saw his picture. And how did I get the van?
That was the most spectacular backfire of all time.
It really was.
You all saw he's the one with the van, but how did I become the bad guy?
So good.
Yeah, if we have a photo of the van, let's get it here.
Oh, I'm looking for it.
What's going on? Well, while you're looking,
also,
sorry, go ahead.
I'll go. So with Pete Parsons too, someone else, and I'm not sure, I can't 100% know if this is true or not, but I was just watched a quick video on it. Apparently he doesn't really post on X or Twitter often at all. It's a lot of reposts of everything. And the last thing he actually posted was layoffs. So literally the only 2 posts that he has done himself have been about layoffs.
It's worse than that, because I don't know if it was exactly when this round of layoffs was happening or slightly before. He locked his comments, so people couldn't basically give him shit. Which, like,
right.
If you lock your comments and you're a public figure, you're an absolute coward piece of crap, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
you're gonna deal with crap.
Moran often locks his comments.
Just want to point that out. I was waiting for something about Joe. But Luke, you were saying about when you were saying good leaders always making more money and whatnot. A perfect example that I was thinking of when you said that is, I think it's fair to say Ted Price is worth every dollar, right? Ted Price of Insomniac, for those who don't know, is worth every single penny that he's making, because his studio is continually putting out product that does well. He's putting it out at a quick pace. I would even argue that Neil Druckmann is worth every penny too. I know some people disagree, but I think those people
are
insane. But I think he's clearly worth every dollar that he's making as well. But Pete Parsons clearly is not.
No, I think Ted Price, yes, absolutely. I don't think there's a better studio as far as consistency and quality, both in release schedule and quality than Insomniac across the entire industry. I think Respawn is probably your other best bet on that commentary. And then when it comes to Neil Druckmann, it's not, I don't think it's a matter of dollars for him. It's a matter of how eclectic is his nature going to be before it becomes disruptive, and how many people actually know or care. Like, most people don't know about Hideo Kojima's weirdness, right? Druckmann's kind of approaching that realm. A good example of when you're being too odd to work with, Zack Snyder in the film space is now too distracting to where people don't watch the work. They watch the comments, they watch the feedback, the ratings, before they enjoy the work. And Druckmann's kind of approaching that realm. He needs an editor, so does Kojima, but like, people don't know outside of the people in this space.
So I won't pretend that I'm not a complete Naughty Dog fanboy, because I absolutely am. But is he really? Because I don't think he is.
I was gonna say I don't get those vibes, but then again, I don't.
He's actually like, okay. I love Kojima too, but I won't dispute that he is.
Kojima's out there.
However, the people working with him know that. It's not like that's a secret, right?
Yeah,
he's pretty open about being what he is. Druckmann,
to a lesser extent, Druckmann is.
I don't get that. I really don't. He just seems he's kind of quiet and reserved. Like, I'm sure he's probably not behind the scenes, but to the public he is. He doesn't talk a whole lot. But,
right.
It's just because he's on Sony's side. That's why.
Yeah.
So I see this trophy room comment about being a fanboy. This is the same guy that was telling you Concord was the next coming of shooters. So calm down. Calm down there.
I think we found by sources unknown.
Van
in question.
Is this the van? Is this the van that somehow I ended up
just in special? I think. Yes. This is the one.
Oh, hey, yeah, that was right.
Yeah.
Wait, there's free Ninja Turtles in that van?
You would know. You're the one offering them.
Well, come on, guys. That's actually me. I'm the passenger.
Or is that you, the passenger? You're the one who got in because of the Ninja Turtles.
That's actually what happened. I'm like, Ninja Turtles, let's go. I saw something TMNT recently.
Oh, never mind. I think you say something I said on Twitter.
No. But is it
the new cartoon or whatever it is?
Tales of TMNT is coming out. That's connected to the universe. Maybe that's off record. Well, I know Last Ronin hit some bumps because they had some layoffs, but there's a new TMNT game coming from Game Mill. There's also another TMNT game that's kind of in the works right now that is kind of echoing the Shredder's Revenge path.
Don't get too excited about something from Game Mill. I don't know anything about the other one, but anything from Game Mill, take that with a very heavy grain. Yeah,
Game Mill's hit or miss. Yeah, it's very hit or miss. Like the Justice League game they did, it was good. There was another game that was trash. They're kid games, right? It just depends on what it is. But Last Ronin, I think, maybe no. Okay, never mind. I don't know about that. There's cool TMNT stuff happening, is what I'll say.
Well, Last Ronin was announced. So if you're afraid you're leaking something, that was announced by Devolver. Is that who it was?
I can't remember who it was, but it's an
Embracer.
Okay.
It's an Embracer umbrella one, and they laid off a lot of their team. Yeah, I talked to one of their employees a few months back. I talked to him kind of every other month or so just to check in because I'm like, yo, how's Last Ronin going? But they lost a lot of their team, but the project was still going. But I'm talking about a third.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. You heard it here first.
I was about to say we got our first scoop.
Yeah. Speaking of Ronin, if that comes out and it is like God of War, like they say, I am all about it. I will be very happy with that.
Was it Logan that looked up what they've made in the past, and it is a little, or was that something different that I'm thinking of that was really?
They have no business making Last Ronin.
Okay.
Is it Game Mill that's making Ronin?
No, that's not them.
Okay.
Are they the ones that made the Destroy All Humans remakes, or is that a different game?
Nah, Game Mill isn't.
That's not
Game
Mill.
Not that.
I
mean whoever's making the Last Ronin. I think that's who that was.
Yeah,
unless I'm mixing up two projects.
I'll look while you guys.
Also, Ellery in chat, who is a big
Black
fan
Forest
of
yes, that's them,
Spreading the Nerd and XEP, loves it when Rick goes off on a topic. So we'll have to get more topics which isn't hard.
I say it doesn't take a lot.
Rocket League's never been in a better place.
Oh,
we're
I'm
done
muting
here.
now while I
I'm
can.
shutting the stream right now.
The Last Ronin developers, that you were correct that they did do the Destroy All Humans remakes.
Okay.
They also did Fade to Silence. They did the original Titan Quest, the Gianna Sisters games from back in the day, which are actually quite good.
They've got pretty good if I remember.
They've got some hits and they've got some misses. They did Bubsy the Woolly Strikes Back. So like they've clearly done some we need to pay the bills projects.
Which was that one? Is that Bubsy 2? Because if so, that was a good game actually, and I'll die on that hill. But if it was Bubsy 3, Bubsy 3 is one of the worst games ever made. So I don't know which one it is.
On the original Xbox, and I remember just seeing it on the front of the case, was like the first 4D game or something stupid like that.
That was on the PS1, I think, wasn't it? Like that's forever ago. But Limited Run Games does have them coming back. They have a Bubsy collection coming, which is one of the most random. Yeah, they announced it at their weird ass thing. I'm gonna buy it because Bubsy was fun.
Bubsy 1993. Why is it labeled as a film? Apparently there was a film about Bubsy. Okay, I did not know that. Anyways. Oh no, the game I'm thinking about, it was no, it had a cat with a vacuum. It was on the original Xbox.
Oh, Blinks. You're talking about Blinks.
Blinks, that's the one. Thank you. I don't know why
There's
I was thinking
a big difference there between those two games.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I wondered why you were so defensive of poor Bubsy. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. That's not right.
Yeah, but Bubsy 1 and 2 were 2D platformers on, I think, the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and Bubsy 3D, I believe, was on the PS1. It's widely regarded as one of the worst games ever made.
Now that I remember the 3D part of it, yeah. Oh God, yeah, I liked Blinks though. The little vacuum guy.
I never played the second one, but I did play the first one.
I never played the second one either.
Never played it at all.
So keeping on content with the or on the theme with developers, one of the other things that me and Rick were talking about through text for the past couple of weeks here is that we're both looking forward to, or at least I am. I'm pretty sure Rick is looking forward to, is Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Bioware's newest entry in the Dragon Age series, which originally started back on Xbox and PC with Dragon Age Origins, and of course, it's been a hit series. Pretty much. I loved the first one. Second one was hit or miss. And then there was it was Dragon Age Inquisition after that, right? Mm-hmm. And I liked that one. The beginning area was god awful, but I liked it afterwards. But what we were thinking or talking about was like how important this game is for BioWare, not just because it's a Dragon Age and that's one of their better known IPs, is that I honestly think if this game doesn't do well, I think it could be the end of BioWare because of their past two games, which I don't want to say that. And it's not saying those last two games were bad. I enjoyed them to a point. I thought, and Mass Effect Andromeda was a fun time, except for the goofy facial features, which and the bugs. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't on par with the original trilogy, but I still liked the world, and I'm pissed that we are never going to get any DLC or continuation of Andromeda because that leaves at such a cliffhanger. I'm so mad about it.
I actually never even finished Andromeda, but wasn't it the Quarian one they were waiting for? Is that and that's what was supposed to be the DLC, or was it?
I think so. It's like the main major guy. I can't quite remember now, other than I was mad about it. But at the end, it pans out to space, and it's him arriving in a ship to your planet, and it's it's like insinuating that our next fight is going to be with this guy, and then
spoilers for those who have not played or finished Andromeda.
I'm sorry if you haven't finished Andromeda by now, or which I know by now is a bad way to put it, but it's as then after that, of course, that one was a critical flop review wise and financially. And then, of course, we had
not so much critically. It was a flop in
really?
comparison to the trilogy, but I want to say it came in around like 75 on Metacritic. I think.
Isn't that a failure for that?
It's a failure for that series. I agree with that, but I'm just saying it wasn't like it got. Like
I thought it reviewed worse than that. I'm sorry.
No, I don't. Think so. I think it actually reviewed okay.
I know that the hate train around it was insane, just because of the facial features, and there was definitely some bugs. Bubsy, there we go. But there was definitely some facial animations that were god awful, and to BioWare's defense. They actually hired somebody to do that, and it was somebody that
Yeah,
never
task
should
force.
have even been like in development of it in general. So I don't know how that happened, but and then of course we got Anthem, which I love the concept. I know Luke likes Anthem.
I loved Anthem. Mhm.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It had its problem, but man, when that game shined and everything was popping off at once, it was good memories. But
It played well, but man, that was not a game BioWare ever should have made. That just was not.
yeah, it's the fact that it was like a looter shooter, and if you looked at the stats deep enough, between a white weapon and a purple weapon, which is the best, depending on how you equipped it with other weapons, the white weapon that you get at the beginning of the game was actually better than the purple weapon. It was just sad times, but and I can't even blame EA for it. It's all BioWare's upper management. Half the development team didn't even know the name of the game they were working on until it was announced at E3, and it's just bad business. But I really think that if this doesn't, it looks good. I think by the trailers it looks good, but by the trailers Anthem looked great too. But I really think this is going to be a very important game for BioWare in general, not just because it's Dragon Age, but for the future of BioWare itself. I just wanted to get what do you guys think about that?
I agree with you. I'm kind of split on whether this is the axe coming down on their neck if it fails, because I kind of think for some reason EA is afraid to, I mean, I'm glad about this, but I think for some reason EA is afraid to nuke this team, just because I think they figure it would throw their reputation into oblivion at that point. But
yeah,
I think if somehow this game is a failure, which to be clear, I don't think it will be, because what I have seen, I am actually pretty confident in this game, which I did not feel that way about Inquisition at all. I didn't feel that way about Anthem. I was hopeful about Andromeda, but that one obviously missed the mark. But I do think this one looks pretty good. They really do seem confident themselves too. So something about just the way that they talk about it, it tells me that they actually do have confidence in this, and it's not just a bunch of bullshit marketing. But if this one flops, I think they are on a very short leash. And then if the next Mass Effect is not friggin' sets the world on fire, then I think they are done. Absolutely, for sure.
I did actually forget about that they have another Mass Effect, so I guess that will be the
I think so. As much as everyone hates them, let's be perfectly clear, EA is not dumb. They make some dumb decisions, but EA knows how to make money, right? And EA knows that Mass Effect is an average Mass Effect game is going to well outsell a great Dragon Age game, and they know that. So that right now is the target. I think they see as Dragon Age as like, okay, use this to fix yourself right now, and when that comes out, it better be great and it better sell. And I very, very much hope that. I mean, I hope it's great. I'm looking forward to Dragon Age. I had mentioned, I think on the XEP thing, that I have like those 3 games that I'm really looking forward to. Like number 1 is Kingdom Come, number 2 is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and number 3 is Star Wars Outlaws. And then after that, I have like a big pool of games that I'm very excited about, just not quite those. And Dragon Age is in that. I'm very, very excited about Dragon Age. I really wasn't all that much until the whatever you want to call it, E3, Xbox, whatever, reveal. Well, not the Xbox one. That one was the Xbox one was the good one. The Game Fest was the crappy one. But what they showed and what they've said, I'm like, okay, this actually sounds mostly. There's obviously some things here or there, but this sounds like kind of what we all wanted to hear. Like, it sounds like it's back on the right path. It sounds like, the story really has never been bad. They've all had pretty good stories. And I mean, BioWare is honestly, they might not be the same team, but that is one of the most important developers in history. That is the Western RPG granddaddy, if you will, right?
I'll agree with you on that.
I mean, they really did make some of the finest Western RPGs ever made. So, like, can they do that again? I don't know. Especially not with Drew Caprician gone, and what's his name? The one that was they kept saying he was the director of Casey Hudson. He really wasn't actually the director of Anthem. He directed the last like 2 months of it.
Right.
But without them, that does hurt them a little bit. But there is still some hangover talent there that I think can absolutely make a good game. And And actually, I've seen a lot of talking about the art style of Veilguard, and I don't get that because I don't think it looks that different than the other
I
ones.
think it looks fine.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
It
don't
looks-
understand. Yeah, I don't understand that complaint. I'm like, this looks like Dragon
I,
Age
don't-
2
I
to me.
think it's a lot of the early on Dragon Age fanboys from the first one.
Could be.
But
and again,
you're-
that original reveal trailer was abysmal, and whoever thought that was a good idea,
yeah,
really should be
people
fired.
were wondering is Dragon Age
Yeah.
a looter shooter or a
Yeah,
hero shooter now? And it's like,
because it entirely missed the mark.
Yeah.
What they showed 3 days later, it might as well have been a different game. It looked nothing. It looked nothing like what that video or that reveal trailer showed. So I don't know what they were thinking with that. But long story short, I think that this will put the gun to their head, but I don't think it'll pull the trigger if it doesn't do well. That's kind of where I'm standing on that.
What's your thoughts, Luke?
I agree. I was gonna say no, they're done, but then I think the Mass Effect game that's in development is probably going to keep them afloat. But I think that's why that was announced, is in case this doesn't do well. I loved the art style that I saw at the Xbox showcase for Dragon Age.
I thought it looked great.
Yeah, but I don't like the old Dragon Ages. I don't dislike them either. I never played them. I didn't care to. This art style pulled me in. So I'm the guy that's now excited about Dragon Age when I wasn't before. Because I tried Inquisition. I didn't really like it.
I didn't care for Inquisition. Yeah, I didn't care for that one.
And I don't think I ever even started up 1 or 2. And I think there was a kind of an in-betweener there as well. I just never cared about Dragon Age. The trailer for Veilguard was like, Luke, you should play this. And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. And so I'm excited for it. But I think they announced Mass Effect to keep Bioware alive.
I think you're right.
I think that's definitely a good analogy for sure about that.
Yeah.
And as you said, for the style of it, if you're a Dragon Age fan, you also know that each Dragon Age game is different from the last one mechanically and how it plays. So
and they're all in different cities. So the point is, it should look different. Have they actually said what's this is the free marches, right? Is that what they said?
I'm pretty sure they said where it was. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly, but
or no, Inquisition might have been the free marches. I forget where they said this one is.
The Inquisition was definitely free marches, I think.
Okay, yeah, this would be something different then. But well, back to what I said about the art style, based on that early footage. Obviously, we haven't seen anything other than like the opening segment. But I was like, this is like the darkest and grittiest it looked, and people were saying it's like cartoony. I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah,
that's not what it looks like to me. That's what that original trailer looks like, but that's not what the actual game looked like.
I think it's just people not liking it because they're fans of the older Dragon Age. But if you're fans of Dragon Age, you have to understand that whatever next installment of Dragon Age is coming, it's going to be different because that's what they've done every time. So that's what I expect.
And really, it's from what I have seen outside. The one thing I will say I don't like is I don't like that you can only have like 3 abilities equipped. I don't like that. I think that's kind of a hindrance, and they shouldn't do that. But it is what it is. But in terms of the people seem to have an issue. Those that have an issue with it seem to have an issue with the fact that it's like more of a real time like action combat system. But if you watch it, it's like that's not really that different than how 2 and Inquisition were, because they still Inquisition you held a button, 2 you mashed a button, but this isn't that different. It's just it gives you more control. So it's like I kind of don't associate that. If you want to compare it to Origins and say it's not that, okay, there's a difference there where Origins really was, straight up almost like a classic RPG at times.
Yeah.
But 2 and Inquisition were not that at all. So it's like we are so far removed from that. I don't know how you can make that criticism at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. But you can't make everybody happy. But like Luke said, you change it up a little bit and you've got possibly a new fan now. Whereas, and then fans will just like it in general if they're a Dragon Age fan. So whatever it is to get some, new people in, that's good. You can't just keep to the same pool of people and expect to grow as a game and company. So,
and by the same token, how many people immediately wrote off Final Fantasy VII Remake because it wasn't a turn-based RPG? And then when it comes out, what happened? Everyone's like, okay, this actually might be the single best JRPG combat system ever made. So there are still some people that whine and complain, but it's like, you are just lost. I mean, you want things to be like they were in 1990. And I like things in 1990, so that's not a criticism of that. I mean, I still like Octopath Traveler and all that, but it's like, it's not going to be that. And
no,
what they did, though, it still has the heart of Final Fantasy VII. right? It still feels like you're doing all the crazy shit that they did in that. So I don't even know what knowledge you're referring to, Ellery, there, but thank you.
No, Ellery said in chat, it is incredible to me how much knowledge that Rick Davis remembers, and this is exactly why I have him on the show. I make the memes. He has the knowledge of, news and people's names and stuff. Like I remember like news articles and stuff, names in one ear, out the other. So this is why I have Rick here to kind of keep it
Sometimes
somewhat
I'm lucky to
professional.
remember to put a right shoe on my foot, but I can remember the friggin' date of a game that came out. In,
We even each other out, I guess.
but yeah, it's like things are going to change, and you got to accept that. And I understand you don't want everything to change, but give it a shot instead of bitching and moaning about it. At least wait and see how it turns out.
Yeah, give it a try.
If it's terrible when it comes out, okay, then by all means go out there and go. You should have gone back to Dragon Age Origins, and you'll be fine. But at least wait and see if it's any good or not.
Yeah. Actually, keeping on that note, unscripted, but like for Dragon Age, changing almost not genres, but gameplay wise, is there a game that you guys can think of off the top of your head that would work well as like something else, like a strategy game being a shooter, or an RPG going into the realms of a strategy, or anything like that? You got anything, Luke, at the top of your head?
When I hear questions like this, my mind jumps to stuff that's already done that, like Halo going to RTS with Halo Wars, or Gears going to Tactics. And I think there are a lot of games that can do it well. It's just a matter of having the right developer and not bloat.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Marvel game, Midnight Suns. I didn't even touch it because it had a whole bunch of like dialogue and chatting and sitting there and having like go to AA meetings in between fights, and it's like, what's going on there? So like,
if you're Tony Stark, that would make sense actually. But
yeah, totally right. He's actually Dr. Doom now. You're misremembering.
No, I mean actually Tony Stark as in the character.
No, that's not possible. That's not possible. But whenever I see games that are willing to jump genres or could jump genres, I'm fine with it, provided it's the right developer to do it. I know we're going to mention Darksiders at some point. Darksiders is one of my favorite franchises of all time. When they made the jump to kind of that top-down action game with Genesis is my favorite Darksiders game, easily. But I still love Darksiders proper, so I don't mind whenever they jump out and try something new, provided the primary. Kevin Ainsworth, you are outside of your mind. By the way, I've never played it. I'm just dunking on things you like.
Look, Lord Cog was the biggest supporter of that game, man. He hyped that game forever because he loved it.
It was a solid game too.
You sound funny, buddy. I think it switched your mic when you did that.
Oh, it might have. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm not actually dunking on the premise of Midnight Suns. I'm dunking on the bloat that comes with it. So if you're going to jump genres, just make sure you have a clean experience is all I'm asking. Gears Tactics did a great job of capturing the Gears of War experience. Halo Wars really felt like Halo despite being an RTS. So just capture the world you're in well, and I think we'll be happy. And I'm glad you like Midnight Suns. Unfortunately, it didn't perform, and I hate when that happens. I hate when games I love don't perform, and it happens a lot because I'm a big fan of AA and kind of the budget realm of games, and that's kind of a bummer. Like I know to Kevin Ainsworth's point, I was listening to his show Project X Talk this week. He could not get into Flintlock. There's nothing wrong with that, and he gave it a good on shot. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that's the most that you can ask of, as fellow gamers, is like, don't just hate on it. Just give it a shot, especially a game that's in Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, try it out. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul, but Game Pass has definitely turned me on to many games I thought I would not like and ended up liking. So if you have the means to, definitely try out games. Don't just hate on them to hate. Also, does my audio sound better?
Yeah,
you sound better. You're back to normal.
All right, cool. Yeah. Midnight Suns is a good one where it swapped over to, typical Marvel things. I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah, you really threw me a curveball on this one. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I know. I brought it up, and this is the whole unscripted thing. I brought it up. It sounded like a good thing, and now I'm trying to think of something.
Rick was telling me the other day that he really hopes that he could play like a Lego version of Horizon, and I thought that was a great idea.
I'm going to. Actually, I'm going to. I'm going to get that game. I love Horizon. And actually, I think that game looks fun, so I'm definitely going to get it.
Look at you. It was there for you. I'll tell you when I don't like it, though, Clint. One of my most anticipated games of the year is Arkham Shadow. and it's most anticipated because I love Arkham. It's my favorite franchise of all time. I don't have a MetaQuest, and I happen to be privileged enough to bump into the guy that's in charge of Arkham Shadow. He's like, I'm going to get you one. And he said he's going to send it to me. Who knows if it happens? I don't know if it does, but like, if let's say that doesn't happen, right? Which is very expected and normal for it not to happen. I'm not spending $400 to play a new game in my genre. Like, I just don't have that money. I'm not that guy. And that's the part that sucks when they jump, because now it's a VR title. And that's a big jump, and so that's a problem, though. It's something.
Especially with VR, it's not like it's a console where you're going to have plenty of other games around. VR is a completely different thing. A lot of people can't play VR. A lot of people get motion sickness and stuff. I personally love VR, but I play a few different games. Is it worth just one game? I would say no, because most VR games are short. They are very short. Sometimes there's replayability, but most of them are short. So that Arkham game is probably going to be at best 5 hours if you're lucky.
But actually, by the same token, too, I will, and I'm not saying I disagree with you because I actually do agree. But you had Half-Life, which is to this day the premier VR game, which it's actually kind of sad that all these years later it still is the main game. But by the same token, it's Alex, but by the same token, Resident Evil 7 was better in VR than it was playing normally. It looked
for sure.
It looked like shit, unfortunately, but that was the only really downside to it. Because it played better, it was obviously infinitely more atmospheric that way. And since the game was in first person, it actually translated quite well to being a VR game.
Ellery in chat says, what would you change Dead Space to?
I mean, to be honest with you, there really is a lot you could do with Dead Space, I think. First of all,
there for sure is. I'm just thinking what I would want.
I would not want this, but I can tell you right now what would work. You could absolutely make it.
VR would work fantastic.
Actually, it had that real. No, the real shooter did not have VR. I think she thought it did for a second.
No.
But that was fun. Dead Space Extraction was a good game. I was going to say you could do a prequel where you are part of the Concordia. What do they call it? The Concordia Mining Company or whatever. And it could be like a space mining sim, and that would fit in the lore perfectly.
I was just thinking sim wise, but except for the sim, you're doing the religious sim, and you're just
that would work too.
You're trying to spread the religion.
Altman be praised.
What about like an alien? Oh my gosh, what's the one with the alien? Like you can't fight back.
Isolation.
Yes, like that kind for Dead Space, where you're being hunted through the ship.
I totally agree that would work, except it's kind of a similar genre. but I do agree with you otherwise. That you could make an awesome game. Hey, actually, there you go. I got my answer now to your question. I have long agreed with everybody that's saying make either Gears or Halo. You can do either one. Make a survival horror game in those universes because they would both work perfect.
Yeah, perfectly.
Like ODST was actually halfway there when you were in the open world because your supplies were fairly limited. So it actually was partway there. Go the whole way. Make a linear game where like you really got to think about whether you want to fight, especially elites, with their shields, because you are going to suck through your supplies and you don't have a lot to work with. And I think that would work perfectly. And obviously, Gears is always halfway there too. In the same token, just limit your supplies and you're already at a survival horror game.
Right. Yeah, that would work good for sure. But yeah, Dead Space Survivor one, like you're on the Ishimura before anybody gets there or whatever, and you're just trying to hide. That'd be pretty cool.
Or even when you're on Age of 7, when the outbreak happens, and you have at that point maybe you don't have nobody has any idea that dismembering the enemies is the way to go. So you're like, God, what do we do? We shoot them, and they just
you're just trying to learn. Yeah,
so that would be cool.
That would be awesome. That would be sweet. And then just completely switching gears here. We heard today that Avowed is getting pushed back to February? No exact
18th,
date in February. Oh, is it 18th? Okay.
Yeah, when Kevin posted it had the date. Or not Kevin. I'm sorry. It was, I don't know.
Sam, I think I saw Sam post something, Jam Pack Sam, but
it was the guy you met in California, Luke. I don't know his name. Split End.
Oh, David Burdett from Gaming Trend?
Okay, yeah. I don't know his game. February 18th. It is February 18th.
Oh, I found something Rick doesn't know. Let's go. But
I'm sorry if you're out there, David. I didn't know what your name was.
honestly, I kind of think I saw this coming when it was announced for November. There's just so many games coming out, especially when Stalker got pushed back to November. What do you guys think about the pushback or the delay till February?
It's the right move.
Does anybody get to be upset? Like, I'm bummed, but like, do we get to be upset?
Well,
I mean, I don't think we do, because this. I mean, I guess if that was the game you were looking for, of course, but I don't think I'm looking forward to Avowed. I know several people.
I thought you
that
said
are looking
soccer.
forward to
I
it.
misunderstood.
Oh yeah, no, we're talking about
about I thought you said Stalker. Somehow in my mind, I
Oh,
heard
I
Stalker.
did say Stalker. I did say Stalker for getting pushed to November, and then Avowed got pushed out to February.
So are you asking about Avowed?
Yeah, what we think about that, and
I'm not a good
Stalker as well.
listener.
That's okay. It's all
Okay.
right.
Hold on,
Don't worry. I'll
I'll find the post. Keep going. I'll find it. Hold on. Keep going.
Yes, my Dark Souls boss. Yes.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead, Luke. What do you think?
So I'm processing my feelings on this one, because I'm paying attention. Yes. It's fair and it's appropriate. So right now, Xbox has a release late October with World of Warcraft, Age of Mythology Retold early September, Aura History Untold late September, the Diablo expansion early October, Black Ops late October, Flight Sim mid-November, Stalker now mid-November. They're a day apart. Shattered Space and Towerborn and Indiana Jones are all unannounced dates, but in fall of 2024. Fall kind of running up to December. So when I look at Avowed, I'm more excited about Avowed than I am Towerborn. And I have a hard time saying that anybody should care about World of Warcraft or Shattered Space or Vessel of Hatred as releases. Like, if you can't sell somebody an Xbox with Vessel of Hatred, right?
True.
You can sell them with a Diablo 4, but you can't say, hey, Vessel of Hatred, you buy an Xbox. So that's kind of the conundrum when you've got live service games that are bringing content in. It's a problem of needing space to market, and you can question whether or not Xbox markets well, because it's a fair up in the air. Like, do they, don't they? Depends on the day and what color the wind is. By the way, I said that on purpose. What color the wind is? It's like when you throw glass houses.
Pocahontas now.
Yeah. And so, like, they have a problem of, okay, crowded space, but like, where do you market the new game? Is anybody buying an Xbox or whatnot for Age of Mythology or Aura or whatnot? Is anybody getting Game Pass for those reasons? And probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to get it for Avowed? Probably more likely than the stuff I just mentioned.
For sure.
So that's the conundrum. That said, I love the idea of kicking off 2025 with a game like Avowed, knowing that Doom: The Dark Ages and Fable are also going to be happening, that South by Midnight is happening. So I kind of like that, because Avowed would be your first quarter, probably Doom: The Dark Ages second quarter, South by Midnight third
I
quarter,
would think Doom you'll be seeing
fourth.
coming around more like September, October. So I would think that'll be a late game.
I think it could be, but I also know that Doom and Animal Crossing did really well in that window of time they launched in March.
COVID though. Remember that.
Yeah. COVID. But I think their release dates were set prior to COVID. So, like, again, apples, oranges. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying they have precedent. So I could see Avowed being Q1, Doom Q2, South by Midnight Q3, Fable Q4. I'm not upset by the Avowed delay, but I do think anybody that was looking forward to Avowed and sees their Xbox Game Pass subscription costs go up, and now the game they want is delayed, I get it. I get it. Fair.
Yeah, I know. Kevin in particular Kevin Ainsworth was saying he Avowed was the one he was most looking forward to.
Right.
And, I mean, I totally understand, but I will say, from my perspective, if you are going to pick a game to delay, that is the one to delay, because it has nothing to do with quality or anything like that. It has to do with the fact that has the most direct competitors and similar games coming out this holiday year to compete with it, that it's like you almost at this point were sending it out to die. By delaying it to February, I think you're giving it a far better chance to succeed. Indy, by the same token, doesn't have a whole lot that's like that's competing with. So I think it'll stand okay in presumably December or late November, whatever it is. So it was clearly the right game to delay in my eyes.
It's possible they were going to conflict with the Silk Song release date, and that's really what it was.
God.
Engage. Go.
Jesus. There it is. You've done it now. Oh, God. Maybe Gamescom? Maybe for Silk Song?
I have no hopes for anymore at this point.
But yeah, with Avowed, I think out of all the games coming out this fall and winter, I think that's the one to push. You've got a huge Atlas RPG coming out right before November with Metaphor, which is going to take a lot of RPG fans. So I think a lot. I was looking forward to it for sure, but there's so many other games this fall that it wasn't the one. So I'm fine with it getting pushed back. If give it some more polish, it's not going to hurt anything.
Well, I mean, another one too.
It's a February game.
And I'm not saying this is going to set the world in fire in sales, but while we talk about it somewhat jokingly all the time, Kingdom Come is a pretty big release because the first game did do quite well. So I suspect, especially with the bigger budget and all, and a way improved tech in this one, clearly, I think that's going to sell well. So you really did have some very stiff Avowed competition here.
Yeah.
That getting it out of there and push back a couple months, 2 or 3, whatever it is, I think that's going to do wonders to help that game, actually. Plus now, even if it wasn't moved for quality purposes, it's still 2 more months of optimization and polishing and all that now. So no way it's going to hurt that game. It's just going to help it, if anything.
Yeah. I think it's a good choice all around for that one. This fall is stacked. Ridiculous. What are you looking forward to, Luke, the most this fall? I think you already mentioned it, didn't you? Oh no, that was Rick.
That was me.
You mean for fall or from Xbox or in general?
Yeah, for in general. For the rest of the, we're not just Xbox fans like the
right.
You're allowed to play multiple consoles, Luke.
Just making sure I.
No. That's all. You can any game, whatever you're looking forward to. Visual novel, romance, game, sim. What are you looking forward to?
All games that speak to me clearly.
Fan simulators.
I think
you're in one.
I think I have to. Oh boy, I don't know what that means. The Star Wars Outlaws, I think, is one of them for sure. Just on account of it's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. All my friends have played Outlaws. I missed my appointment at Play Days. I've talked about that before. I just didn't feel good. Actually, I went back and ate some delicious pizza. Is what I did. I rested because I was overwhelmed. So Star Wars Outlaws for sure is up there. There's a game coming out that kind of lives in that AA space called Unknown 9 Awakening that doesn't have a date yet last I checked, but I'm looking forward to that one.
Is that this year?
It was this year last I heard.
Okay, I actually didn't realize that. I didn't know that.
Unless it's been delayed, but I absolutely enjoyed what I saw when I was at Play Days. And I'm looking forward to it. And having just finished Flintlock, which is a female protagonist of color that has super cool powers that I was like, it's like in my mind, they're similar, you know? So I'm looking forward to Unknown 9 for sure. And then like as an Xbox content creator, how can I not look forward to Indiana Jones, and what it is that Aura and Age of Mythology and stuff bring just to the table as far as talking points. But Indiana Jones isn't necessarily one that I'm like dying to play. The question will be for me, after playing Star Wars Outlaws, do I want to jump into Assassin's Creed Shadows? Because I just picked up Avatar. It's really good, but I'm not into it, but it's really good. And it's like, okay, do I want to, after Outlaws, go back in and play more Avatar? And then do I want to go into Assassin's Creed? Because I like Ubisoft. I think they're consistent. They're high quality. They do a good job. But they are very similar. That's why I go to them, because I want that.
Right.
But do I want to play that 3 times in a row?
Right.
So we'll see. It depends on what comes through. A lot of people are talking about Space Marine. We'll see.
You forget about
September.
That
yep. I'm all for it.
September 9th. It looks cool. Black Myth Wukong. Looks cool. We'll see. I just got treated to like a buffet thanks to Game Pass in the last month, 2 months. So I'm still working my way through Kunitsugami. and then I gotta check out Dungeons of Hinterberg and stuff. And so it's just a matter of like, I'm no longer rushing myself to play games. I'm just not. I'm not interested in doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'll get there when I get there. Outlaws, I think, to answer your question, Outlaws and Unknown 9 are my top right now.
Yeah,
Arkham Shadow.
you had mentioned, yeah, you better buy that VR. You had mentioned Unknown 9 and the community episode last night or the other night, and I had no idea about it at all. I don't know how I'd missed it, and then I looked it up on Steam, and I was like, yeah, this looks pretty interesting, actually.
I
So that was
forget what
another
it
one.
was at. Was it Summer Game Fest? It was one of those events is when they showed it. And I remember thinking it looked pretty cool too. I don't remember
Yeah.
which one it was though.
I don't know. I nodded off or had to go do something or what, but I missed that one somehow. But I added it to the wish list because it does look
Yeah, it
good.
looks very good.
But going forward for this fall though, Star Wars Outlaws. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, nerd, geek, anyways. But after listening to Joe on the community episode and just seeing other people's thoughts on YouTube and TikTok and all that good stuff, I am even more interested than I was before. I'm pretty hyped for that one.
Yeah,
Excited.
He did a good job on his coverage. He doesn't do a good job very often, but he did do a good job there.
Yeah, it was great. So shout out to the trophy room there.
Yeah, no, I was already looking forward to it. He got me pretty hyped too, and actually, big thanks to him too for kind of explaining things. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
It was great to be able to interact directly and actually get some answers for things that we may have had about it. So thanks for that, Joe.
Well, what do you think, guys? Anything else? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Here we go. Rick's going off.
I'm not going off on anything.
Okay.
I had a small topic I wanted to suggest because it's something that I think works well with Luke being here.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So my topic, it's simple. It's just your opinion on something. What do you guys think about cross media stuff, specifically how it pertains to games? Like I'll start here. I'm actually a pretty big fan of it in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's not so great, but we always talk about Dead Space, and Dead Space was one that I actually thought the cross media aspect was actually pretty cool. Or Mass Effect, it was phenomenal because the 4 books were great and actually really did tell some cool like stories, but without not reading those didn't ruin your experience, right? And I think that's how you do it. You explain maybe little small things in the background, or adds to some details, but it's not details relevant to the game you're playing. So you understand what I'm saying? Like what do you guys think? What's your take on those?
Go ahead, Luke.
No, you first. I would like to listen.
I think I was kind of confused what you were going to talk about with cross media, as in like Mountain Dew ads and
no, I'm talking about like if you have your game, but then you have tie-in books and comics, and movies and stuff like that.
I think I definitely love the idea of it, because if I get more content for the IP that I love, I'm all for it. But on that same token, like Star Wars is too much a good thing. But thankfully with games, most of the time you don't get that. The Halo books I haven't read all of them, but they've been phenomenal, the ones that I have read. There's some World of Warcraft books that are really good that tie into the story, that you can play the game and know everything about it, but there's a couple books that are just about characters that you meet along, and it's their backstory. So if you want to learn more, if you're really into the lore, then I think all for it. If it's something that it can expand the game and its world, but you don't have to consume it to enjoy the world, I think that's great. Final Fantasy 15 did a terrible job with that. Because they had a movie.
You were completely confused about everything that happened if you didn't read this other stuff.
You literally had to read a small novel before and watch a movie to understand the beginning of that game fully. Or there was definitely,
and then you had to get the DLC to even figure out what the hell was happening with certain things too.
So I think it can work really well if you're able to consume it and enjoy more of the world you love. But if you miss it because A, not enough money, or 2, don't like to read
Mhm.
or something like that, then you're not missing out incredibly. Then I think it's a good thing for sure.
Yeah, but more additive than required is a better way.
Yeah, perfect.
The way to do it.
Yeah, for
What do you
sure.
think, Luke? What about you?
I love cross media because when I get into something, I really get into it. Like I go deep dive all the way. Like if I'm TMNT, I'm not just playing it, I'm watching it, I'm reading it. I love that. I do think that with our interconnected worlds, some media franchises become dependent. Like you have to watch all the movies to know what's going on in this one. And I don't think that's healthy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Halo does a great job of not
Mhm.
requiring you
Mhm.
to have read the books or whatnot. And when you do, you get this wonderfully rich approach. Like Infinite meant more to me because I knew the books and the lore and stuff.
Mhm.
But you could still enjoy it just as much. I really enjoyed in our community episode where we were chatting with Ellery about how they were reading The Witcher before
Mhm.
playing The Witcher.
Yeah,
That's really cool,
Mhm.
right?
that's a perfect one. Yep.
That's a good thing because you're not dependent and required, but it does enhance the experience. And
Mhm.
so I like cross media stuff in that sense because I deep dive into things, but I'm an abnormality. It's when I go, I'm all the way in on something. And that's good and bad. It's important for your IP to be able to live on its own and not require a book, not require
Mhm.
you to spend 15 hours of watching something else before you can enjoy this. That's something that Ellery likes to do. That's something I see you, Joe. He's like, why do you get locked in on things, Luke?
Is there perhaps some kind of disability or something that's involved in that?
Indeed, there is.
We
Indeed
would
there
like
is.
to have Luke back on the show at some point. So
Yeah.
God.
and
He
other
reminds
guests.
me, like-
Someone's gonna watch this, and I am never going on this
Let
show.
me tell you.
again.
Let me tell you something. I 100%. So I just finished the show Justified. I love that show. I
It's
binged
such a
it.
good
Like so,
show. So good.
I'd never watched it until probably 3 weeks ago, and I binged all
Yep.
6 seasons. I've got to watch Primeval now, and like I've been telling my friends to watch Justified and to check out Ultraman Rising. It's a great movie on Netflix. And Joe straight up just lied to me. He got tired of hearing me say it because he says it's like, oh, you're just telling me that because he goes, oh no, I tried it. It wasn't my thing. He just straight up lied to me. He's like, oh yeah, I watched a few episodes. It wasn't my thing. Like, you're lying. He's just trying to like pat me on the head and tell me to stop. He's like, okay, go to your room, go play. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I watched Justified. I got all into that. That was really fun, and it made me want to play Red Dead. Right, talking about cross media, like, because I'm like, oh man, maybe I want to wear the hat now.
I want to be just like Logan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
and Logan can have a cowboy day.
Yeah. Well, I'm started watching The Acolyte specifically because Outlaws is coming and The Acolyte looks cool. And I do love Star Wars. So, like, all right, here we go. I'm going into this now. But I couldn't start The Acolyte while I was doing Justified for reasons, Joe. So, yeah. Watch Ultraman Rising. It's a really good movie. It's not just.
It's because you had mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I'll look at it. And I looked at the trailer. The trailer looks good, and I think I added it onto Netflix. And then more and more people in the XEP Discord were kept like, oh, I watched it the other day, and then the next person watched it, and everybody seems to be liking it. So
It's
maybe
if
this
we
weekend.
we're grown men that have watched Toy Story and Pixar and everything. This is no different. It's fun. It's just a fun family happy movie.
That's all
There
that
you go.
matters.
Yeah.
You know who's a big Ultraman supporter?
Who's that?
Hideo Kojima.
Oh, look at
But I don't think he's talked about this. You say it's a movie, or you say it's a show?
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie, right? Yeah.
I don't think he's talked about this, but he was a big fan of, because Ultraman is Japanese, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was a big fan of the old show, like with like the 70s or whatever.
Yeah. One of the neat things about the kaiju genre is they've all kind of linked up, and like Godzilla and Gamora and Ultraman, all those universes have now kind of merged because the fandom is all the same. And there's this really fun game called Gigabash that plays off of like, I don't know if anyone's ever played like Godzilla, what is it, Monster Melee or
War of the Monsters?
War of the Monsters, right?
Yeah.
Like from back in the day. It's just the modern version of that, and it's fun. It's got all these cool crossover characters in there, original characters. It's just a fun monster fighting game. If you played Rampage back in the day, it's very similar. It's just fun, and those are good times. So
I want a new Rampage. That would be sweet.
Play Gigabash.
I think the movie might have made sure that you're not getting that.
That's true. That's very, very true. Anything else, Luke? Did you have anything you wanted to touch on or go over or bring up or anything?
No, we covered a lot, and I got to talk about some of the stuff that I got to watch and hopefully send some people to, just because I hope people like what I like. So that's fun. So there you go.
I think so. Well, with that, folks, I think it's time, and I don't think
What are you holding, Rick?
knows. So on the only reason people listen to or come to our lives is because at the end of the show we open up a fortune cookie and give everybody their fortune.
Yeah, they listen to us bullshit for an hour and a half just so they can.
That's literally all they want. I can literally like feel Ellery and Silk in its eyes just rolling and just like get to the fortune cookies. So you can go first, Rick.
All right. You will find hidden treasures where least expected. In
bed.
We did have about 2 weeks ago. We did have one that was extraordinarily sexual.
All fortunes from a Chinese or any fortune cookie, if you add in bed to it, it just works.
Yep. I know that.
Your financial investments will yield great rewards in bed. So that's your fortune, everybody. Thank you so much, Luke, for coming on here for our 10th episode, being our first guest. It means a whole lot to me. And it's just been awesome to have you on here and chat with us and just have a fun time. And thank you for being a good sport with the memes, as always. Man. You always are. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, that was great. You show up, man. Thank you very much, really.
My pleasure. You guys are great friends, great supporters of me as well. I couldn't not be here. It was important to me that I be here. So I got you guys.
You don't want me canceling.
Sorry, I was so sneezy.
No, that's fine.
No. You guys don't have to subscribe at all.
For
sure. So where can everybody find you, Luke?
You can find me on socials, Threads preferably, and then Twitter if you're there as well, at Insipid Ghost. But really, if you're listening to Rick and Clint and you've enjoyed having me on here, I hope you'll check out the Xbox Expansion Pass. We have a wonderful community of just kind people that are good to one another. We celebrate games. We cover Xbox, but we don't bash PlayStation or PC or anything like that. We celebrate games. We cover Xbox. So I hope you'll be willing to check out the Xbox Expansion Pass. It's a fun place. We enjoy it.
Definitely. Yep. And I second it. Definitely listen to the Xbox Expansion Pass. Great, fantastic community over there. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, this is where me and Rick met. Ellery and I have met in real life at a Final Fantasy concert because of cool. Meetings with through Luke in the Discord. So great bunch of people. You can't go wrong with the show. It's fun, good times. Logan is also a co-host on there and is great. Captain Logan. But Rick, what about you? Where can everybody find you at?
Butch4969 all over the place. Twitch, PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, you name it, I'm there. Butch4969. Hang out in the Discord. Trying to avoid Luke's ban because it's a little bit of a dangerous place to be. But like Clint said, that Discord's awesome. Luke, you made a amazing community that it's a great thing to be a part of, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for listening, folks, and everybody in the chat that was talking and stuff. It was great to see everybody. Highly appreciate everybody coming along for the ride. Thank you very much.
We had a great chat there today. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic. So thank you very much, everybody. And as always, may the RNG gods ever be in your favor. Have a good weekend.